GreatLakes.org to donate today.
Hey, and we are back, man. It's Wake Up Woodward. Thank you guys for kicking off today with the Woo Crew. Man, I forgot to even shout out people in the beginning. Shout out to our brother Matthew Broder, Woodward in Maine, part of always the heart of this platform as well, and has done so much for sports. Shout out to you, brother. Keep holding it down. Cavassier Chase, that dude Justin. We got the elite booth. Woodward Sports MVP in the TD booth. That is JB Smooth. What up, though, brother?
What's up?
Hey, what's up? Your hat says it all. Hey, in the sound booth, it is Detroit's #1 draft pick, KG, a.k.a. Black
Shepard.
Hollywood. Already got the Rookie of the Year trophy.
Yeah.
And JB is making sure that you're on your path to getting that MVP.
Well, he a legend, man. He
Yeah,
a
he a
legacy
legend.
act at this point, man. I'm just trying to catch up in his
He's
footsteps.
playing in the
but
game while his rafters are still, while his jersey is in the rafters.
yeah, it's
That's
amazing,
facts.
bro.
That's facts.
He on the LeBron tour right now.
Hey, and you know what? Let's get our legend introduced again. Woodward Pistons segment. Hey, shout out to the legend Rob Beard. Let's get that drum roll going. Hey, yo! Shout out and welcome to the legend Detroit News, Rod Beard. Welcome back again, brother. And you know what? The Detroit Pistons, man, they said, and Cade Cunningham out of his own mouth said that this was the most meaningful game he has played in his NBA career. And you know what, Rod? I didn't honestly know how to take that comment. I didn't. But I know that as I was driving to the stadium, I was like, there was a little bit extra juice. It was like, yo. And last year I told people this whole in-season thing was dumb to me. This year with the Pistons having the opportunity to be able to move on and advance potentially, I wanted all of it. And so I just wanted to be able to get your thoughts on the Pistons. They do sit now for the first time in a long time. Just a half game outside of that last playing spot, but something tells me they may have a few bumps in the road here, but they'll find themselves back in playoff positioning soon. And Cade Cunningham said this: we want the playoffs. He said we had a taste. We had a taste tonight. We wanted this game. And you could tell as well that Milwaukee wanted that game because Dame Lillard and Giannis, they did everything that they could to make sure that they came out on top in that. And it was awesome. Playoff type experience at the beginning of the season to help our guys. Cade said that they want more, bro. They want more. But just your thoughts on the Pistons.
They want more, but you got to come out and play better against Milwaukee. And that's 11 straight wins against the Pistons for Milwaukee, so it's understandable.
11?
That's not 11 straight overall, and that overtime. That's what that overtime game earlier this year when they missed the free throws right at the end was so important because you got to end streaks like that. You got to walk in feeling like you can beat the Bucks,
be a narrative buster, like we say about Dan Campbell and the Lions.
That's exactly it. And so it's that same sort of trajectory that you played in a game that mattered, that could have gotten you on the national stage in the NBA Cup, where you're probably the number one seed if they win that game. And it was right there for them. I'll say it that way. It was right there for them. You don't even have to win that game. If you lose that game by 4 points, you still make the NBA Cup.
Yeah.
But again, it's Milwaukee, and you can go through all the what ifs. What if they had played these games in a different order, and they played Milwaukee first, lost that game, and then they played the other three? At least they knew how many points they needed to run. Doesn't matter. They got a taste of it. They know what it's like to play in these critical games. They were 3-0, and since the NBA Cup was invented, they never had won a game at all anyway. So even getting to 3-1 is a step. But they've got to play better in a game that meant so much going in. They've got to play better and just not have those defensive lapses that let Milwaukee just shoot 70% from three in the first half. That's just
man.
You can't have that. You can't play pickup where somebody shoots 70% from three.
You're right, and you know what? Because I saw it in the chat earlier. I don't remember if it was Chuck Brewer or not who said, you know what? It's difficult really to keep your head up when you're playing good defense and the other team is just hitting all gas. It seemed like everything was coming up sevens. There was even one play. As I went back and rewatched it again, and I remember seeing it live and we remarked about it, I forget who the guard was that had the rock with a facilitator, but they found Brook Lopez kind of double-teamed in the paint, and they still threw it to him because it didn't look like they were comfortable with throwing the cross-court pass to Taurean Prince, and all Brook Lopez did was just back-tapped it. Literally, the ball barely, boom, Taurean Prince just caught it, tossed it up, and I'm just like, no, that's not. Oh, yes, it is. And everything was like that for them tonight, and that's their Achilles heel. the post-game article that I wrote last night, that's what it was centered around. Out of all of the different things that we've identified as weaknesses, their inability to defend the three-point line has cost them greatly. And J.B. Bickerstaff talked about it too. He doesn't believe that his guards, not just the shooting bigs, he believes that the guards aren't doing a good job at defending that perimeter, and it is putting too much pressure on the Pistons. You look at the second chance opportunities from the Bucks; those were ending in three-pointers. Like, so you played your 24 seconds. You played 23 seconds and you're letting them get a three at the end of the shot clock, or you're letting them get a second chance where they're then able to be like Bane to Batman. Those are just backbreakers, man. I know you got one, Flannel.
I want to ask you something, Rod, because I'm a firm believer in the philosophy that sometimes a team just gets unsustainable shooting luck. And it's not all luck, of course, but 56%. You had AJ Green and Taurean Prince combined for 7 of 7 from 3. That's just absolutely insane. And I'm not excusing the Pistons. They could have done more, especially defensively. But was last night more about what the Pistons didn't do, or the Milwaukee Bucks just being on fire? They shot 56% and Giannis from 3, and Giannis, who didn't shoot a 3, was 10 of 11 from the floor.
No, I think it's a lot of what the Bucks did. If this was any other team but the Bucks, if this was, I don't know, the Pacers or the Timberwolves or somebody else that's not as good of a three-point shooting team, a lot of those may not fall. We've seen this from them. This is very Bucks of them, where you leave them open, it's going to be Lopez. It's going to be Taurean Prince, who's turning out to be a Pistons killer over in his career. That you and not even mentioning Dame. We're not throwing Dame in the conversation yet, but you can't let those guys shoot open threes and give them those looks, because they will make them. Another team, Atlanta, the Clippers. I mean, you need a good three-point shooting team for things to turn out the way that they did. The Bucks are them, we'll call it.
Yep. And I see a comment here that I wanted to be able to honestly answer, because I do believe that it's relevant right now. The Pistons started the season stating that they wanted to learn to compete every night, and that every night we would see this team effectively, more times than not, with a chance to win down the stretch. And that's what we've seen from this Pistons team. And a sign of a good team is a team that's able to win those. But a sign of a team that is progressing over what they were prior, one, they're just on a much better win pace than ever before. Their previous best win stretch, they're actually they were at a higher win percentage this season than they were during that Jeremy Grant, Cade Cunningham, Kelly Olynyk, Sadiq Bey run. And even Killian Hayes played some type of a role. But Big Con 51 is saying we need to slow this Pistons hype down. They have talented players, not a good team. I will definitely state that I don't believe that they're a good team yet. I also don't believe that they're a team that's hit their chemistry, but I do believe that they are a progressing team. They are a squad that has the opportunity to make the play-in. They are a team that has the ability to take that next step. And what they've proven through over 25% of the season, which is a good wide margin, through a gauntlet of schedule that most people thought there's no way they're even winning 2 games through the first 10. This team is sitting with 9 wins. Do you understand that the teams, 4 or 5 teams ahead of them, all have 9 wins? So right now, as it relates to the Eastern Conference, making that play-in, they do have the talent. They just have to put it together as it relates to, in my opinion, the chemistry. And as J.B. Bickerstaff said, the Bucks have the experience. They showed up, and it was almost as if they knew exactly what to do. And they relied on their stars. Dame and Giannis, they went off 28 and 27 points. And then the rest of the role players, they did their job. It looked like what a championship team looks like, and that's what they are. And the Detroit Pistons, they are still learning. But where do you get those experiences? They got a little taste in this in-season tournament, so maybe there is something to it, and now they want more. I can't wait to see how this kind of inspires them going forward. But I think KG's over here looking at me, man, as if it's time for the Swisher break, huh?
I think it is, man. I think it is.
Sometimes you just gotta take that break, huh?
Yeah.
Swish or brick, or for our upper echelon, the Swisher break, huh? Let's get into this, man. We got some questions here. There's some questions and there's some pointed statements. KG's gonna read them off. I'm gonna make a case. We go around the room. Let's rock, brother.
All right, let me get some music going, and we'll start with this one because the other ones kind of lead into this first one. Lack of scoring and playmaking off the bench is holding this team back. Swish or brick?
As it being like the thing that's doing it the most?
Yes.
Lack of scoring and playmaking off the bench is holding this team back. I would have to agree with that. I believe that they did a good job to bolster the three-point shooting. They were a top 6 defensive efficiency team for the first half of the games that they played. They have dropped a little bit, but they're still a top 20 team defensively when you talk about the efficiency rating.
Yeah.
There are things I want to see them do better, but this offense, it absolutely craters when the ball is not in Cade Cunningham's hand. There's times when we see, hey, they've had some peaks and they've had some moments, but with the games we've been able to see, you got to get a backup facilitator on this team, which I think will actually bode even better for guys like Jaden Ivey. But start with you, Flannel.
I think it's an absolute swish. They don't really have a viable backup point guard. That I think if you look at the person who's regressed the most from last year to this year, it's Simone Fontecchio. He's given you next to nothing off the bench. Even Isaiah Stewart, for all that he does well, for all of him being valuable defensively and whatnot, and his toughness, he's not scoring like he was last year. Ron Holland, we knew what he would be. Not a great shooter, but he does some other things. But yeah, I think that is the biggest hindrance, because the way that the starters have played for the most part, especially Cade Cunningham, you can say at this point that they just don't have enough scoring and playmaking on the bench.
JB Smooth.
Oh, this is an absolute swish. Just looking at the box score yesterday, like a lot of the bench players are all in single digits. Hell, some of them are even at 0 as well too, which is just terrible. As you said, Kool-Aid, this team needs help off the bench when the ball is out of Cade's hand, and there is none right now. Like, what are you going to do? So yes, this is an absolute switch for me.
Yeah, but for me, it's primarily the facilitation. We see how Cade is able to rack up those assists because they do have a little bit more talent around them. And I believe if you get another facilitator around, it might pay some dividends. It will pay dividends. What up, KG?
Yeah, that shot is wet. It's a swish all day. To me, this is one of the biggest things holding this team back at this current point, because what Simone Fontecchio has done for you this year is absolutely nothing. I mean, Marcus Sasser has been good in spots, but we all know the limitations on him. You added Asar back, which is great defensively. I love having Asar on the floor and the energy he plays with defensively. But Kool-Aid, I was talking to you about this all off season. Having him and Ryan Holland out there is cool, but one of them got to know how to score, man. And Ryan Holland is just struggling right now when in terms of, just trying to make shots or getting to the rim consistently. They need a spark, offensively, and not just with the playmaking, with the scoring as well, because most nights you're getting double-digit figures from most of your starters. So if they can go out and do that, you need at least 1 or 2 people off that bench to help you out.
This was why the big push, at least on this platform, Rod and I, for a better part of almost a year and a half, has been they got to get a star. They have to get a co-star. You can no longer just continue to piece together these role players that can get you to the next level.
Right.
These guys are saying it themselves. It's been too long. Cade's been here a while. He's on his second contract.
Yeah.
This second contract kicks in next year. This is why people scoffed at the DeMar DeRozans and the Zach LaVines and even the Brandon Ingrams of the world, who, his name is coming back up as available. I'm hoping that they have some way to put something together to bring in a guy that can balance that scoring out. But Rod Beer, what about you? What say ye?
This is a swish. You guys mentioned all of the key points, but this is something that we said in the offseason too. If Simone Fontecchio is starting, it gives you some more of that scoring talent coming off the bench. Mm-hmm. He's not starting. He's one of those players that seems like he needs to be in a starting role with starters minutes to really get the engine going. It's not that, and we see what the result is.
Yep, I 100% agree. Hey, let's get into the next one, brother.
All right, next statement in Swish or Brick. Pistons need to sign the recently waived Elfrid Payton. Jesus, I haven't heard his name in ages. Formerly of the Pelicans. We all know that's Trajan's former team. The Pistons need to sign the recently waived Elfrid Payton. Swisher Brick.
Hey, listen, and if you saw the stats, man, Elfrid Payton has been kind of on a heater with the assists. You're talking about a playmaker, and he's had as high as 21 assists game this season. I believe November 25th. He's been putting up about 8 points.
But I did mention yesterday, and I know a lot of people will disagree. I kind of whispered it softly. I was like, would Killian Hayes help this team?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm saying that about Killian Hayes, I obviously have to say the same thing about Elfrid Payton, because we know one thing that he can do very well. He can distribute, he can dribble, he can find open players, and you need that off the bench. And maybe that will even allow Marcus Sasser to play a role where he's more comfortable with. So I am going to go around the rim and in.
Yep, and just to be more appropriate, he's averaging 6.7 points per game, 6.9 assists, and 3.4 rebounds in 7 games for the Pelicans, including a 14-point, 21-assist performance on November 25th. JB Smooth.
Oh boy.
JB Smooth, swish or brick? It's
pretty
Or do you
easy
need a
to
swish or break to think about it?
I feel like I need a switch and break to really think about it, but I guess I have to agree with Flannel. This rolls around the rim and just falls in. If this is the only option that we have as of right now, then sure, okay. I like his numbers. He's a good facilitator, but as you said, once again, if he can't score, then if he's just out there kind of moving the rock around, does it help all that much? But if that's our only option that we have right now, I think some new, fresh blood on this team will help. So, swish.
KG, what up, though?
Y'all must be making a brick house over there, man. This is a fucking brick. I said hell no to Killian Hayes. I said hell no to Elfrid Payton. And Elfrid Payton's problem has always been his scoring. He's always been solid defensively. He's always been a good playmaker. But I said this yesterday. You are in a league now. I'm sorry, Ryan. I'm sorry. You are in a league now where your backup point guard has to at least.
You ain't taking a flyer?
No, I'm good. I'm straight, bro. There's better options out there.
I'm grounded.
There's better options out there. But no, we are in a time in the NBA where your backup point guard has to at least be a threat to score. The defense is great. The playmaking is great. But I'd much rather stick with what we have than to add somebody that with no real offensive skill to the bench, man. I brought up somebody yesterday. I think Tyus Jones would be a perfect fit
You
for
gotta
what the
figure
Pistons
out
are trying to do.
if that team is willing to tangle.
Yeah,
the
of course.
thing with the Elfrid Payton is that you might be able to get him for next to nothing while giving up nothing, which actually gives you another NBA level asset.
Right.
So it's like from a standpoint of just thinking of like if I'm Trajan Langdon, if I can make him look a certain way, I could potentially flip him later as well, which the Pistons need to do by the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And I don't believe right now, as currently situated, that they've shown themselves to have enough flippable assets. What we saw even though I believe this team is in a better position, I don't necessarily see the assets that other teams are saying, you know what, I want that player and I want that player and I want that player.
That's true.
And that was the one component of it.
And yeah, I wasn't pointing out Tyus Jones as an actual target, but that's the type of player that I would rather have instead of an Elfrid Payton.
And I want
Okay, do you don't want an extra 2 to 6 points a night?
No, I agree.
I want the Tyus. I like Tyus.
And before we go over to Rod, I just got to say this for the record. I would do backflips if we got Tyus Jones.
Absolutely.
I don't know why Phoenix would get rid of him, though, at this point.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But that's the archetype of what I'm looking for.
Matt Ishbia, if you won't give us Devin Booker, man, come on. You went to Michigan State. You brought Devin Booker here. At least give us Tyus Jones. Come on, man. Pistons had your company's logo on their jersey. Do something for it, man. Rob Beard, what up, though?
I agree with KG. I cannot summon. I can't summon that type of energy.
That's why I'm here, right? I'm your spirit animal. I got you, bro.
He handles that for me as well sometimes.
I can't be that, but he said it. Like, Tyus Jones is a name that we had kind of floated around. If there's a veteran point guard that you could get, and when he signed with Phoenix, we're like, oh, come on, man, that's the dude right there. So if you have nothing else, and when Elfrid Payton's name came across as being released, I'm like, And then you think about it, what has Elfrid Payton really done?
Nothing.
If you don't have a choice and you have an open roster spot and you just got a minimum contract that you can do, fine, he's better than nothing. But if you had your druthers, then you go out and you can trade for Tyus Jones. So give me this. What would you trade for Tyus Jones?
Oh, that's
what's too much? What's too much for Tyus Jones?
Well, we know that Isaiah Stewart is going to be one of their best assets, but it's just a notion of, does Phoenix need him? And is that something that they see as a needle mover? Because Tyus Jones is something that they currently are depending on. Not greatly, but he is a different, somewhat of a needle mover. So when you talk about what are you giving up, that's where, as I continue to kind of look at the parts and pieces the Pistons have, they would almost have to hurt themselves to get an opportunity to get a Tyus Jones. And I'm looking at
If we're saying Tyus Jones is the difference, would you give up Asar or Ron Holland for him? Hypothetically.
No.
Asar,
Yes.
no. Ron Holland may be on the table.
Yes.
Asar, no. Because I just
Can't
like.
with Asar. Yeah, I mean, that's
To the trade deadline, and you are in the seven. Spot. If you're in the 7 or 8 spot and you identify you're in the same spot you are now, and you say we need backup point guard, you can get Tyus Jones, but you got to give up one of those two.
Man, that is a.
And,
That's a
and
good
thinking
question.
about it, the Suns probably want Asar over Ron Holland because he's more developed defensively. But I don't know. That's tough, man. That's tough.
That
You
is
don't need them both in the future.
You don't.
And
You don't.
when you get to a certain point, you're gonna have to pay enough of these guys who are young right now where you can't pay both of those guys. You're gonna have to make some decisions, and that's Trajan Langdon's job right now.
Man, that's a good one. Let's get to at least one more, brother.
All right. Let's see. All right. Swish or brick. If Isaiah Stewart is traded, should it be for a point guard or a big?
And listen, you guys, there was at one point in time when I believed that they got to shore up that big spot, and I really wanted them to be able to go and get like a Nick Claxton. Obviously, I wanted them to also go out there and get a scorer too. But if there was just one position that we had to go and get shored up right now, I would say point guard. That's what I want to say. But if you're removing Isaiah Stewart from this team, that is one of your tenacious bigs, and you have to ask yourself, can B-Ball Paul be enough? Is there anything else out there on the waiver wire that can help to give you what you need in the middle? And so that made me have to draw back for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's where a guy like Alfred Payton as a point guard, did you just pick up the scrap heaps? That's where it becomes a little bit more attractive to me, because if you trade Stu, I would hope that you can get some, young, rookie contract, high potential or decent potential big in return.
Yeah.
Who's just kind of out of the rotation right now.
Yeah.
But go to you, Flannel.
I want to back up point guard in the worst way. And call me maybe pie in the sky. Maybe I am. I don't care. I think that Paul Reed could do a serviceable job with more minutes. I actually think in the limited minutes he's played, he's actually been a net positive for this team.
Yep.
So give me, if you have to trade Isaiah Stewart, give me a backup point guard and then have Paul Reed get more minutes off the bench.
JB Smooth.
Give me a big. Give me another big here. I'm sorry. No disrespect to you, Flannel, but I
get that big.
I'm not seeing a whole lot to Paul Reed right now. I'll sit here and kick the tires on Alfred Payton or whoever else is out there as a backup point guard for the low, but give me a quality big back here.
Yeah, it's got to be a point guard, because when you bought Paul Reed in here, him and Isaiah Stewart are pretty much the same archetype, except one can stretch the floor a little bit better than the other one. Of course, that being Beef Stew, but I feel like what Paul Reed can do defensively is the same as what you get from Beef Stew. Occasionally, he can hit down a long range shot. But ultimately, you need somebody that's going to be able to defend. You don't need a big-time scorer coming off the bench as your secondary big. So I would say just rock with Paul Reed and go get a point guard, man, because that is the biggest pressing need for this team.
I don't know, man. Stewart is your most menacing defender, though. That's the component of it.
That is true.
He's leading you in blocks. He's leading you in stocks. It's like you get rid of a Stu. I like B-Ball Paul, but in stretches as a backup. When you're talking about increasing the usage is where I see things get a little less able to be depended on with them. And that's where it's just like, I
hear you.
If Stu goes out, I want a point guard in the worst way, but if he goes out, I think we create even bigger void at the big man position. But Rod Beard, what say you?
Got to be another big, because you don't have too many guys who can play center. You need 3 center options and one who can kind of move over and play some power forward. If you lose Stu, you got to have another replacement in that spot. Unless you can convince me that this point guard is going to be a higher tier, higher quality point guard, then I could listen to it.
Ooh.
Not mad at that.
Man, do we have time for
I was about
one?
to say, do we have time for one more?
Do you have time for one more, Rod?
One more swisher. One more swisher. One more swisher.
Thank you, Rod.
Hey, I need one more
Let's
swisher
go.
right now. But as we go on the next one, Malik Beasley needs to be in the starting lineup, swish or brick.
Malik Beasley, he's been the guy that when you talk about the Pistons needing 3 guys that can go out there and get it for you, when we've seen the Pistons have that, or even when Cade Cunningham was out and we saw Jaden Ivey and Malik Beasley go off, I've liked that mix. I believe he's one of those instant offense type guys. I want Fontecchio in the starting lineup. I've appreciated what Tim Hardaway Jr. has done in the starting lineup, but Malik Beasley has been a lot more consistent, and I've loved the way that he's been one of those guys that Cade Cunningham throws the ball to him, Malik Beasley makes shot. You can't. That is the recipe. We've been saying when you pay Cade, you got to get guys around him that can do that. And I know that we need the scoring off the bench, but you got to get off to a good start as well. Malik Beasley, starter. What say you? Because that's not starting Malik Beasley and Jaden Ivey, though.
I am going to go with don't rock the boat on what Malik Beasley is doing. More or less indifferent, because I'm not saying he's going to win 6th Man of the Year. Of course he isn't. But he's averaging 15 points a game. He's shooting damn near 40% from 3. He is the entire bench scoring for all intents and purposes. I just love what he's brought to this team.
I just did a flip underwater.
I just changed my flight to stay an extra day.
Instant offense type guy off the bench, and the Pistons need that. The bench scoring, we're not worried about Malik Beasley. We're worried about everybody else.
You're exactly right. It was so simple, it's funny. Hey, JB Smooth, what up, though?
You said Ivy was coming off the bench, right?
No.
Beasley would start. You probably put him.
What you talk about, JB?
No, I'm just looking around because you said Ivy's name, and I was wondering if Stick was about to pop up here in a second.
Hey, not after last night.
You're right.
I'm just like, hey,
Stick's nowhere to be found.
No, Stick will still pop up.
Like, wait a minute before you say anything about Ivy. Then, but yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think the Pistons need to get off to that hot start, and if that's going to be Beasley out there on the floor, then absolutely, I would start with him and just kind of get this game moving a little bit forward in the Pistons' direction, so where they see that, all right, this game is in hand. All we got to do is just lock down and continue playing our defense. So give me Beasley in the starting.
Let's go.
Come on, KB. Come on, KB. Come on, KB. KG. I'm sorry. I have a good friend named KB, and KG. My bad.
No, you good.
You are
KG. Good, right? All right, I gotta go brick on this one, man. And to begin, before the season, I would have said absolutely start Malik Beasley. But when you look at what Tim Hardaway's done in the starting lineup, he had a rough stretch after that head injury, but he's starting to get it back. He went 50% from the field last night. Beasley is your only hope off the bench in terms of scoring. He's the only one on your bench that can hit threes consistently, maybe besides Marcus Sasser. Nobody else really is providing instant offense like Malik Beasley does coming off the bench. So I'm in agreement with Sam, man. I don't think you rock the boat at this point. Of course, if you do start him and Jaden Ivey, then you're looking at a liability defensively that, Beasley is known to be as well. So I'm good, man. Leave him on the bench for right now and just go get some more help.
Hey, let's rock. Rod Beard, what up, though?
Agree with KG again. It is because he's not the bench problem. And what's the issue that you're having more? Is it bad starts or bad stretches when the bench comes in? It's more the bench group. You're going to have to put those two things together and figure out how to get some more help for Malik Beasley on that second group.
Yep.
Hey, you know what, man? We just got Jars Cannabis. This might have to become one of those Jars Cannabis segments.
Hey,
Switch
shout out
break.
Jars.
Brought to you by Jars Cannabis. I'm sure they would love that. Hey, Joey, DJ Joey Radio, we'll hook that up, man. Definitely.
Swishers, Jars, and tequila?
Get
what kind of
everybody.
show is this? What are we doing? What are we doing?
We might as well call this the session now.
This is the party break. It's the party break now.
Detroit Vice City. Let's go. Hey, you know what, Rod Beard, as always, thank you for your time, man. Absolute legend of a person and a professional. And every single Wednesday, we look forward to it. Like, even Flannel before the show was like, bro, we could take the segment longer if you want. I'm like, say no less, especially when it means we get Rod Beard on a little bit longer for the show, man. Shout out to you, Rod. Thank you for everything you do. Sports editor-in-chief at the Detroit News. Keep crushing it, man.
All right, appreciate it, gentlemen. Have a good Wednesday.
Hey,
thanks, Rod.
You too, man.
Thanks,
Blessings,
Rod.
blessings, blessings. Let's get into the next segment because I know everybody's favorite on the way. And they missed it yesterday. People
Yeah.
were ready for it yesterday.
Yes.
But I know JB Smooth, a lot of good happening in people's lives. Shout out to you as well, man, getting that city view. I'll allow you to tell the people if you choose to.
And before we go to break, first off, and just want to throw this out there. If you guys want to call in and respond to anything that we said today, 313-552-6322. The phone lines are open. You will talk to KG first because he's the best phone screener in the damn land,
Damn
and then you
right.
get to talk to us. So 313-552-6322. But my apologies for interrupting. Tell us about jars.
Oh, you're good. Speaking of